What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show with me, Sean Sheehan, here on Sherdog.com, and I am bringing you an immediate after the bell post-show reaction to the first PFL Europe show of 2025. And I'll be honest, I was going to say, what a show it was. I'm not sure if it was a good show or a bad show or a middling show or what it was, because I'm still reeling here just minutes after that main event. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I don't usually jump in. I usually give you a little bit of analysis or something like that, but I feel like you have to jump in to the main event in this one. If you didn't catch it, it took Paul Hughes, 42 seconds, I think it was, yes, to finish Bruno Miranda in what was just the perfect moment. Everything, everything went right. Paul Hughes was being built up all week. He's been built up all year for this moment. And actually, there was just to take a kind of a minor step back. It was funny because in Ireland this week, it felt for a while like Paul Hughes has actually been like a little bit overshadowed by Ian Garry and the story there, and him, maybe getting the title shot and all of that business. But when that fight was kind of made official, when we all knew they were making weight, and when Ian, was not going to be fighting, I think it kind of changed back a bit. I don't know, it was weird. I kind of felt this morning and last night the build increase more, and that's kind of the time you want it to increase as well. Like the day of the fight, people getting really amped about it. The people who were buying their tickets, if the tickets bought months ago or weeks ago, or whatever it might be, and I really thought the anticipation levels by the time the fight started were really, really high here anyway. And, I'm sure a lot of people are very, very interested in Paul Hughes, but in Ireland specifically, I definitely think that was the case. So even that part went well. But, Hughes walked out to... Okay, the only thing that didn't go well, I think, was... So he walked out to someone singing Grace. Well, I don't know, was it the best version of Grace in the world? I love that song myself, personally. But anyway, the crowd were singing it, and that was good. And then he, changed into a rap song that none of the crowd knew, and they died. But they started singing Ole, Ole and stuff, so that was good. But, yeah, that was the one thing I would change on. I'll be honest, I was looking at Paul in the cage before the fight started, and I was kind of like, is Paul too emotional? I actually thought Bruno Miranda took it very well. He took it all in his stride. You could see that he was prepared for this. He knew that the crowd was going to be rambunctious. It was going to be loud. It was going to be booing him and all of that. But I think Paul was prepared for it to be mad as well. But I think, he let the moment get to him. But sometimes letting the moment get you is bad, and sometimes letting the moment get you is good. And as I spoiled earlier on, 42 seconds, I think this was kind of good. But he looked very emotional. He looked red in the face, and he looked, he didn't look like a normal Paul Hughes. Like Paul Hughes looks always very stoic, and he was you could see he was trying to be your regular stoic Paul Hughes. But I don't think he could hide it. I don't think it worked. But as I said, it helped him, so that was all good. And then the fight started. And what can you say about the fight? Bruno actually came out, and from the off probably looked the more settled. And it wasn't that Paul Hughes wasn't settled himself. It was just that through the first 35 seconds of the fight, he didn't really do anything. He was kind of waiting on the outside. I spoke about in the pre-show. He had two options against a guy like Bruno Miranda. He could either go at him and go with big shots, or wait on the outside and try to pick those shots. And I said he usually does the first of those two options there rather than the latter, but that the latter actually would probably be the better way of doing it. And that's the way he did it. No, all credit to me. No, but I was surprised he did it that way. And I was even more surprised considering that he looked so amped up and he did it that way. The second the fight started, he fought cool. And that's exactly what he needed to do. And I said, Miranda started well. He was throwing his kicks out there, threw a few low, went for a kick to the body. I don't think he really landed anything clean, maybe a few little toes and stuff. But as I said, he was throwing those shots. He wasn't waiting on Hughes. He wasn't blinded by Hughes or anything like that. But it all changed very quickly. Literally, the first punch Paul Hughes threw was from him kicking. He caught a leg kick from Bruno Miranda with the back of his left hand, and brought that left hand up and hooked it and knocked Bruno Miranda down with a hook, the fight was basically over at that stage. That was his first punch that he threw in the whole fight. 5 or 6 shots of ground and pound after it were able to finish off Bruno Miranda, but it was the first punch, knocked down, and as I said, 4 or 5 after that finished it. Absolutely brilliant. The way he moved from catching that leg with the left hand. Like when I saw it first, I was like, oh yeah, okay, he got the kick and then he threw the left hand. But for some reason, because it happened so quickly, you're thinking, oh, did he, even though it makes no sense, but go with me for a second. I was like, oh, he caught the leg with the right hand and then hit him with the left hand. But no, caught it with the left hand, hit it with the left hand, which is crazy speed, crazy dexterity, crazy ability. And that was that. The crowd absolutely erupted. They got on the mic afterwards, and Paul Hughes gave the Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck, Chelsea. And what I love about that one is the crowd turns to someone and they're like, yes, and then it goes Anderson Silva and they're like, oh no. And Usman wasn't there here, but when he said Usman or Magomedov, it went to the crowd and there was a guy just going, yes, like that. Made it. So he said, Usman or Magomedov, you can run, you can't avoid this rematch forever, something to those words. Your day will fucking come. And it was promo of the year. Those 8, 12 words or whatever it was, promo of the year without a shadow of a doubt. We won't get a better one this year. I'm very bad, even for like, you could call me biased towards Irish lads or whatever, but even Irish lads, when they cut a promo afterwards or anyone and people call them good, I'm always like, oh no, that promo was cringy or it was not great. Or this one, even my old black heart couldn't but be swept up by this one. It was a brilliant promo, brilliant performance, brilliant walkout. As I said, the crowd afterwards chanting. Dan Hardy did a great job as well, getting the crowds going, use it, and all of this. So it was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't have asked for better. We all spoke about whether this was the right decision. Paul wanted to fight at home. He wanted to fight and earn money, and no problem. And it worked out well for him. Worked out well for the PFL. You have to do Paul Hughes versus Usman Magomedov next. You have no option, and I actually think they have no option but to do it in Belfast. And I'll tell you why. Like, Usman Magomedov is a great fighter, and he's brilliant. And he beat Paul Hughes the first time. He very well might beat him again the second time. It's a very even fight. Both will learn things. Who will come out on top? We will see. I think everyone wants to see, but there's no question about this. At this very moment, Paul Hughes is a star, and he is the first star that the PFL ever had and have ever produced. Now, they've gotten stars in other places, obviously Francis Ngannou and things like that, and you can argue guys, Justin Gaethje was at World Series of Fighting, came through and things like that, but Paul Hughes is your first potential superstar, and you have to treat him as such. Not for Paul Hughes, but for PFL yourself. You have to go back to Belfast. You have to bring Usman or Magomedov there. You have to make the fight there. And it'll be absolutely massive. Absolutely massive if that happens. Now, I'm not sure what's the size of the arena in Belfast. Maybe you could bring it to Dublin or something like that. But look, I'm always giving out about Belfast because it's like a 7-hour drive for me and Dublin's a bit closer. But you have to do it. You just have to. I know for Usman, he won the fight the last time. He's the champion. He shouldn't have to fight there. But you have to think about your own organization here. It's a tough world outside of the UFC for these organizations to survive, first of all, but to create a superstar and to create something special. And PFL have it. They have it. Paul Hughes has given it to them on a platter. Now serve it up. Right, let's get to the rest of the card because I feel like I could spend the whole half an hour talking about Paul Hughes and that amazing performance. But there was other fights as well, so let's get to them. I spent, what did I spend? Nearly 10 minutes there breaking down 42 seconds. So that might be a new record for me. But yeah, absolutely amazing, and what a win by Paul Hughes. The co-main event then was Alan Philpott versus Lewis McGrillen. And I must say, I must give kudos to Alan Philpott here. He fought very, very well. The result in the end was McGrillen got the choke in the second round at 3-17. But I'll be honest, like I've known Alan for an awful long time as a fighter and watched him for years and years and years. And on his day, in his prime, 7 or 8 years ago, I always thought Alan like could have been like a really, really good fighter, could have gotten signed, to one of the big organizations and fought, and it never kind of worked out well for him. I actually think, and I'd say he would probably admit to this himself, but I think, he's spoken about it before, that he kind of sometimes got caught up with the wrong crowd type of thing up in Belfast when he was there. And I think him moving to Australia, he's been there for a good few years now, has been the best thing that's ever happened to him. If that had happened to him 10 years earlier or 6 or 7 years earlier, could it have meant he would have reached a different level in his career? I actually think it would have, yeah. I think Alan Philpott is, and he showed that in this fight, I think, that he is a very, very talented guy, but things just didn't fall for him. I saw a thing going around the other day, like the what ifs in sport, and to be in Irish MMA anyway, Alan Philpott is one of those what ifs. But I'll tell you what, he should be very proud of himself after this outing, because Lewis McGrillen is no joke. Like, Lewis McGrillen is approaching his prime right now. He's a young guy. Alan Philpott has had 37, 38 fights. I think he's had one or two retirements as well, I think, maybe. But he's training a lot of guys, and he's moved obviously to that part of his life, I think, more so than being a competitor. And the way he fought here, brilliant. I would say probably one of the best performances of Alan Philpott's career. I'd go that far. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. So Lewis McGrillen came out fast, straight across the cage, landed a lovely low kick. But Philpott set out his game plan, set out everything straight away. Landed a lovely right hand. McGrillen landed a lovely left, which is obviously his best shot. But Philpott was countering so well, landed a nice couple of kicks as well. Lewis was, I've written here in my notes, Lewis was giving him plenty to counter, and he absolutely was. McGrillen was coming in, whether he landed or he didn't land, he was thrown, and Philpott did a great job of countering that. Philpott also got a takedown from a body kick, got back up fairly quickly, and Lewis landed a nice hard left hand, but then Philpott landed a knee in the clinch, and then a high knee in the clinch as well. Lewis landed a similar knee of his own then as well, and as Philpott was kind of moving away, Philpott was moving away from the left hand very well. So at this stage, maybe halfway through the first, McGrillen hadn't really landed a whole lot of those big left hands. Alan was winning the exchanges. And I thought there was a big, big shock on the cards here, but the two nice high kicks from Alan then, and then then the left hand started to land. McGrillen landed two left hands. Philpott felt them, but then there was a wild, big overhand left, and that rocked Philpott. Alan went for the takedown, but then Lewis took his back from it, a beautiful move. I thought Alan was ahead until that last big left hand, but I think it just swayed it to McGrillen. I think McGrillen probably won that round based on that left hand. But as I said, if you'd scored that round for Philpott, I wouldn't at all, disagree with you a whole lot. I thought he was the much, much, much more effective fighter up until that last 15 seconds or whatever it was, when the big overhand left was landed by McGrillen, which was a very, very big shot. The second round started in, and there was a front kick and a low kick by Philpott. Looked really good again. He landed another knee, and then landed a hard head kick, and then a second. And this forced McGrillen to go for a takedown. And I don't think a lot of people thought McGrillen would have been slamming for takedowns in this, but got kind of a big slam. Alan landed some nice elbows off of his back, and then Lewis got some ground and pound, took the back, went for the rear naked choke, but then Alan fell out the back, did a great job of getting out. Unfortunately for him, though, McGrillen got back on top again. Alan went for a guillotine, but it was no good as he was getting out. And then Lewis again landed on top, ended up taking the back, and this time the rear naked choke was there, and he got the tap, as I said, at 3:17 of the second round. Good win for Lewis. Probably wasn't the best performance of his career, but he went in there against a tough veteran, Alan Philpott, who came to fight, and he got the win, so you can't criticise McGrillen too much. And for Philpott, as I said, a wonderful performance from him. I don't know. I don't know if Alan's going to fight again or what he's going to do. But if this was, this would be an ideal way to go, putting on such a great performance in your, in your hometown big arena. It was a very good performance from Alan. Then we Conor Hughes versus Sebastian DeFranco, which again was a lot closer maybe of a fight than I had thought. I gave Sebastian his flowers on the pre-show, but I thought Hughes would be, the clear winner here. But he was the winner, but not the clear winner, I would say. So Sebastian came out southpaw as he tends to do and landed a lovely kind of turning left hook inside, and Conor landed a right hand and a leg kick. Landed a lovely check hook as Sebastian came in, and he landed the same shot again. And a very good start from Conor Hughes, I would say. I landed a nice inside leg kick, which was I landed a lovely inside leg kick is probably the underestimation of the century. He landed a lot of them, and they caused a lot of damage. Sebastian in threw a kick, and he didn't get knocked down, but he kind of got pushed down off balance. But he kind of got up very quickly, landed a nice body kick, and another leg kick, inside leg kick, and they showed his leg, or maybe the first time you could see it up close after he got down and back up, and it was swollen like you very, very rarely see things swell in mixed martial arts. Conor landed a nice 1-2 and then kicked him in the leg again, and it looked really sore. But I thought in the kind of the middle stage or towards the latter half of the first round, very good defense. Like, both guys weren't really taking much. They were throwing a lot, but good head movement, good footwork. And that caused Hughes to move to the body. Landed a lovely body, and there was a lovely straight left from DeFranco. He landed a lovely shot on the entry as well, and then Conor Hughes landed a counter to the same shot. And as I said, some very, very good stuff there, both defensively and offensively. I think towards the end of the round, Sebastian walked into land and landed a nice shot, and then landed a nice elbow, and the pace was working for him late. And I kind of thought to myself, it wasn't enough late, but I don't think it was. I thought Hughes won the first round based on what had happened earlier, obviously based on the low kicks as well. Second round started with a lovely Sebastian combo, slower pace here, and I think it actually suited DeFranco. Landed a nice jab, good head movement. Conor landed a couple of shots to the body, but Sebastian was lifting his leg, wasn't eating as many leg kicks. Landed a hard left hand, and then a few minutes in, Hughes finally kind of landed a right hand, and then landed a second one behind it as well. And Sebastian was charging in, but this time it wasn't really working like it was in the first because of maybe that slower pace. Hughes landed again another leg kick. Sebastian went for a jab and then a right hook, but as he was going for that, Conor Hughes turned kind of sideways, and instead of throwing like a straight shot with his right hand, he threw kind of a turning hook from the sideways position and caught Sebastian DeFranco right on the chin. He almost punched through his face. He hit him so hard. Scary right hand. Caught him actually with a left hook on the way down too. I don't think that had much of an effect on it. And sparked Sebastian DeFranco. And when I say sparked, if you haven't seen this, he sparked him out cold. Scary. It took a few minutes to wake him up and everything, but what a knockout for Conor Hughes. Knockout of the year contender without a shadow of a doubt. A brilliant knockout there for him. We then had a decision in the next fight between Gino Vancinis and Decky McAleenan, but one of those fights where the losing fighter, in this case Decky McAleenan, will be absolutely kicking himself based on the second round. But first to the first round, Gino started out with a lovely low kick, and Decky was landing some body kicks. I actually thought Decky kicked very, very well to the body and did a good job of that. Gino was landing his oblique kick. It's all lower leg kicks by Gino, but Decky was landed a lovely combo. Gino landed a head kick. He was just off with a head kick, in fact, but then landed a right hand after it and a counter right as well as Decky kind of came in. Gino got into the clinch then, and he got a nice trip and got on top. He was in top half then, landed some short elbows. The referee gave him a warning at this stage, and I was like, you know, there's no real need for a warning there. Like, Gino's throwing a few shots. Decky was actually trying to attack as well off the back. Both lads were fighting at that stage, like let him at it, you know. But Gino landed some ground and pound, not a whole lot. Decky got the guard in. He did a good job defensively there. And Gino landed a few shots late. Look at an easy 10 round. 10-9 round, sorry, for Gino Vancini in the first, without a shadow of a doubt there. Second round, though, completely different. Decky lands a right hand as Gino kicks, and another right as they kind of got into the clinch. Gino landed a nice elbow on the break, and then landed another elbow. He went for a single, though, and it was no good, but he landed the right hand on the release. It was a really, really nice shot. Then Decky kind of, he did the opposite. He landed the shot first, and then he went to the clinch. Decky landed a lovely elbow on the clinch, and then he hurt him with a right hand. He hurt him with a right hand, and Gino kind of took a knee. Gino took a knee as he was going to the ground from Decky. So Decky hit him with a big knee. And it looked at that stage that, like, sorry. So Decky hit him with a right hand first. And he after the elbow, and he hurt him. And Gino went to his knees, right? And you're thinking at that stage, right? Decky comes in, I can think, with that kind of knee inside, comes in with a shot, gets into his guard. And you're thinking, Decky, stand up here. Stand up, or just turn to the left. Don't get into the guard. Go to maybe, not into side control, but in the side control standing position. Throw up a shot in the ground. This lad's after throwing himself on the ground here because he's so badly hurt. You need to pick shots here rather than picking the position. And I think it was a humongous mistake. Just the fight IQ, just at that stage, let him down. He almost still got the finish, you know. He went for ground and pound, and he did good. You know, he stood up, and I was thinking at that stage, okay, is it too late here? But no, he stood up and went down again, into the guard again, landed some nice ground and pound. You know, Gino kind of kicked him off him, and then he landed a nice up kick. Decky takes the back, but he landed on bottom, but there wasn't much after that. So that was a 10-9 round for Decky there. Close to a 10, not a million miles away, but he had him hurt. As I said, when he landed that right hand and Gino kind of took a knee and went down, the fight, I would say he was so badly hurt there that if Decky had let him stand up, the next shot he would have landed would have knocked him out. It's one of those ones you'll probably be screaming at yourself when you watch it back, but look, it's tough when you're in there, no doubt about it. The third round started, and again, it was one of those ones where I don't think Decky attacked him enough early, but Gino did a great job of staying out wide and staying away from him. Like, Gino controlled him well from range. He landed a big counter right hand at one stage and went for a double leg. Decky went for the guillotine, again, ill-advised. No good there. Decky landed Gino landed top half guard again. Not much ground upon, but he was staying heavy, you know, gone into the mount, took the back to top half. Then after that was unsuccessful, and some nice shots over the last couple of minutes, and as I said, on top for most of the third round, and that was kind of that. Gino Vancini ended up winning the unanimous decision 29-28 at the end of it. Fought well in the first, very well, and then was smart in the third. But if you're Decky McAleen, and after that, you're probably not happy with yourself based on that second round. There's no doubt about it. We had Hyder Khan against Sean McCormack then, a very entertaining, was supposed to be a middleweight fight, but turned into a catchweight at almost light heavyweight. So Sean started off with some leg kicks, which were very, very good, and Khan kicked to the body himself. Khan landed a nice front kick up through the middle, and then Sean landed a right hand. It was, relatively even here at the start. Khan landed a nice jab to the body into some calf kicks from McCormack, as well as a 1-2. Khan landed his own calf kick as well, and there was some good stuff there. And then Khan got a takedown right in the middle of the cage very, very easily. He goes for the guillotine as they kind of get back up, and he ends up tangling the leg and landed on top momentarily. Sean landed a lovely elbow on the clinch, and Khan kind of falls off balance, and Sean lands a hard knee that rocked him, and he kind of fell down to his back, but he was still standing. His feet on the ground, but his arse didn't hit the ground, so he could hit him with more knees, but he hit him with a few shots there. Kando quickly turned around. He gets him down again, got into the guard. Nice ground and pound. Sean landed a nice elbow from the bottom, but that's definitely a Can first round there. Nice calf kick to start the second by McCormack. But he's kind of off with his strikes, and both are off with their strikes at the start of the second. Nice calf kick from Can. Answers Sean's earlier one, and then the right hand by Can was the first punch to land. Again, an easy double leg for Can, and it was a major issue obviously from Cormac throughout this fight. Got into the quarter bound position, then into top half. Good ground and pound from Can. And McCormack then was able to get to his knees. He did a good job defending, did McCormack throughout the fight, but Can was able to get onto his back and pull him down. Only one hook, and then Sean moved, and Can landed on top half as he moved out. A bit of ground and pound from Can, but McCormack got up pretty quickly, and Can took him down again. Sean went for the guillotine. It actually looked very, very tight. Can landed some punches to the body, and he's able to get out. Was it enough to steal the round? I don't think so. So I think Can was 2-0 up at that stage. Can landed a lovely counter to the jab at the start of the third, and then a couple of low kicks after a jab of his own. But I thought a little bit more tentative in the third. I'm sure trying to conserve a bit of energy too, but there was a lot of good stuff landed in the first two. Some left hook from Can, and Sean lands a low kick. And then Can was kind of picking his shots at range more here. I don't think he wanted to time he didn't want Sean to time the takedown. Sean went for a wheel kick, and that was off. And then Can, his jab started to add up. Sean's nose was bleeding, his mouth was bleeding. Although I actually don't know if his mouth was bleeding or not. Maybe the nose was just bleeding into the mouth. But two good jabs from Sean himself. Then he came back and he started to jab against him, but Can got the takedown. Can went for the takedown, and it was defended well initially, and then fight went to the clinch. Can picked the ankle to get him down momentarily. Another takedown, top half, and ground and pound to end the fight. And Can ended up winning that one. It was a good performance from both of them. I think Sean McCormack's very young, and he's only 4 or 5 fights into his career. Did a very, very good job then in that one. Very, very quick fight. The next one, Mark Ewan against Shivas. I picked Mark Ewan to win, but it's his second loss there in his career, and this was a bad loss. He came out southpaw, and he did not look good. Landed a couple of leg kicks, but Alexander landed a lovely jab to the body and kick to the body. Then a few more hands to the body combinations, and a few high shots after that as well. And Ewan was eating a lot of them. All kicks from Mark early. Good start by Alex. And then he landed a right hand, and then a left hook dropped Mark Ewan and KO'd him very, very early in the first round. 133 of the first round. A beautiful shot from Shivas, and a couple of shots added up to it, and Mark Ewan finished. Great performance by Shivas. He will be going on now and having a big say in the rest of this year. But for Mark Ewan, it's very much back to the drawing board here after a couple of losses in his last 3 or 4 fights. It's for a guy who was thought of so highly, but not just by his team, or not just by the matchmakers or whatever, by everyone. I thought of him very highly. I still do think of him very highly, but something big I think is going to have to change after that one. We move on to the Claudio Pachella Gavin Hughes fight. Probably fight at night, I would say. I think Pachella did a great job here. Gavin Hughes is kind of walking him down, but Pachella, would land a big one, and Hughes had land a left hook, then Pachella had land a left hook. Gavin got rocked by a right hand early in the first, and there was a touch of clinching. Gavin went for a double leg, but it was defended very well. Pachella landed some lovely knees, I think what saved Hughes a lot of the time here, or what served him well even, was the Muay Thai clinch. He did a great job. He landed some good shots in there, but it also gave Pachella the chance to kind of land a few shots on the break, and he did that. Actually, it looked like his cup broke in the first round as well. I think he just fought away with it, but Pachella landed a huge right hand late in the first, landed a body kick, and landed a nice combo late as well. Definitely won that first round. The second round then, he was holding back a bit, was Pachella, I think, a little bit. Lets Gavin get to the clinch, and they both land hard on the break. Gavin went for a double leg, but that was kind of no good, and Pachella lands huge hooks as they stand up. Pachella then, he was the one who clinched at the midway, and he was kind of taking control of the area of the fight. I think he did a good job of that in the second. He lands on the exit from the clinch, but very little landed over the next kind of 2 minutes. Right hand by Pachella on the break was probably the best of that. And then there was a bit of a clinch and a try for a takedown late as well. That was no good. More pocket fighting early in the third. Hughes came in. There was what was there? 3 Hugheses on this card. Gavin came in. He went for a double leg, but didn't get it. Long clinch. Went for a few stomps and an elbow. It was doing a lot better in the third round. Went for a single leg, but it was no good. And then he landed a nice elbow on the break. With 2 minutes left, I thought Hughes was a bit ahead, but again, this round was all to take. I suppose Pachella landed a left hook and one to the body, landed a lovely 1-2, and Gavin seemed to hurt him with a spinning shot, but immediately got into the clinch. It was kind of hard to tell, and then a long kind of clinch to end it. And that was that, an easy enough 29-28 there for Claudia Pachella. I think if Paul Hughes didn't exist, a lot of people would be saying Owen Sheridan was the superstar of this card, because he looked amazing in his fight with Malachi Edwards. Started off with some hard kicks by each of them. Malachi landed a nice right hand, and he was kind of going forward, but when he did, he got caught with a lovely check left hook. Then Sheridan landed some hammer fists as Malachi was going for the takedown. Massive barrage from Owen. Malachi somehow survived, and Owen kind of holds onto his hips and moved to the cage to hold it back. Then they broke and they stood up, and there was a massive right hand and a left hook which knocked out Malachi Edwards from Owen Sheridan. It was all over at that stage. Sheridan is big, rangy, powerful, fast. He got a good promo afterwards as well. Star potential in Owen Sheridan, absolutely fighting out of SPG, so very, very good there. Come back at night, we go to Gemma Owl. What a performance from her. And what a performance from Sammy Jo Luxton as well. I know she's, what was she, a Muay Thai world champion or something like that? She looks so good, landing a jab and combinations to the body, kicks to the body. She stopped a couple of takedowns very, very well. A standing elbow, nice front kick to the body. Owl landed a shot in, it barely made a dent. Like, at this stage, I was thinking, Sammy Jo Luxton's going to walk through her here. But she got stunned by a left hook. Did Owls, but she did catch a kick in at one stage and got the fight to the clinch. Held on for ages, which was smart. Then she took her down. Sammy Jo Luxton managed to scramble up, but she was taken down again. Got to the clinch again, clinched for ages, and Owl got a takedown and a second, but couldn't hold her down. But you're kind of thinking at the latter half of that round, oh, that's not a good sign for Sammy Jo. She needs to stay away from her, and she did at the start of the second. I think she was moving less, but staying in an area that was better. She landed some nice leg kicks, and she was kind of sitting down on the punches and bashing all with big shots in here. And I was thinking, okay, she might be able to get the finish here. Landed a lovely hook to the body, and there was a bit of a clinch. She got out of it. It's all going well here, and Owl's face is bleeding badly. The lead hand of Sammy Jo was absolutely eating her up, but then Owl got to the hips. And first of all, she failed on a slam, but she gets to the clinch and she lands a mat return. Got into kind of that ride position, was landing big shots in there. Got on top, ground and pound, got 2 hooks in, got to the mount, heavy ground and pound, big elbows, rear naked choke, and tapped Sammy Jo Luxton in the second round at 2:43. Toughness, grit, MMA. You can't play at MMA. You have to be a well-rounded, full MMA fighter here. And if you have the ability to get someone out of there straight away with your striking, and you have gaping holes in other places, they're going to be exposed. And that's what happened here with Sammy Jo Luxton. But I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. I thought Sammy Jo looked good. And there's a proper fighter in there. There's an MMA fighter in there. And she just come up against someone who is more of an MMA fighter right now. But if she becomes more of an MMA fighter, that difference will, like, who is a higher ceiling, Gemma Owl or Sammy Jo Luxton? Sammy Jo Luxton without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt. Keep at it, keep fighting, keep getting beaten up, and next thing you'll be a fighter. And the opening fight of the night was 2 Irish guys going at it. Noam Weddy from Dublin against Corey McLaughlin from the FAI gym in Ulster. And it was, it was a relatively close fight throughout it, to be honest. Both came out in the orthodox stance. McLaughlin landed a nice leg kick to start, which was answered by Weddy. Both landed again some nice calf kicks throughout the fight and the round. There was a couple of misses from range, and it was opening up the card in a big arena, and both these guys only it was Weddy's debut, wasn't it? The second fight of the career for McLaughlin, and Weddy landed a nice jab, very little landed kind of through the halfway point. McLaughlin dives in with 2 right hands, but Weddy kind of steps out and defends well. He then landed a front kick up through the middle that landed kind of under the chin, but Weddy walked it off, and he was southpawed in for a while. Was Weddy, both reach in, both kind of miss. McLaughlin lands a combo though towards the end of the round and some clinches, fails on a trip on the exit, and then Weddy lands a head kick, kind of a half a head kick, as McLaughlin takes him down on the bell. I think McLaughlin just about did more and won that round. The second round in was, I think they settled kind of in the second round. McLaughlin opened up with a good right hand and a combo as Weddy kind of kicked him. Then Weddy lands a nice right hand, and Corey kind of shoves him against the cage. Nice knees to the thigh by Corey then, but Weddy got out, and both have a good head movement again, and are forcing their opponent off base with it. A nice Weddy knee to the body, and then Corey was pushing the pace and kind of making it dirty, which is the way to do it. And, Weddy was kind of getting more tired, I felt like here. Corey's a very, very good low kicker, and the right hand that came after it was kind of heavy as well. And he went for a takedown with about 2 minutes left. The corner was saying Weddy was exhausted, but Weddy did stand up and got out fairly quickly and landed a low, he landed a knee. And then there was a right hand by Corey, nice combo by Corey late as well, and then Weddy landed 2 left hands late as well. So again, I thought Corey won the first 2 rounds, but very competitive. The third round again was probably the closest of all. I think a lot of people could have given this either way. Better strikes from Weddy to start. He landed some left hooks, seemed to get a little bit of a second wind at the start of the third anyway. And McLaughlin clinched, but Weddy landed a big elbow, breaks, and Weddy landed the Anderson Silva type of elbow, as Dan Hardy called it, and then another after that. McLaughlin was deep in a double, but got the fight against the cage. Weddy, again, an elbow on the break, and McLaughlin answered with one back. They tied up, and then there was a scrap there, and McLaughlin was holding him against the cage. Weddy landed a couple of those Travis Brown elbows, and they break, and Weddy landed again an elbow on the break, but McLaughlin takedown on top, nearly at his back, had a Dagestani handcuff, landed some huge elbows on the ground, and a barrage of elbows again after that. Weddy was so tired at this stage. There was a late squeeze, but wasn't enough. Again, very close. I think Weddy was ahead until the late elbows. Who won it didn't really matter in the end. McLaughlin won the unanimous decision. I think one of the judges had it 3-0, and one of the other judges had it 29-28. So that is that, everyone. An amazing night in Belfast. Not so much an amazing night for the Irish fighters in Belfast. Only 3 of the Irish fighters won. I suppose you could throw Pachella in there as well. He's trained in SPG, but Paul Hughes' story, the big news, and we will go on to the next PFL Europe card. But for today, that is it. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.